Okay, so try natin sagutan yung mga iniwan kong activities sa inyo last time. No? Sabi ko sa inyo last time, solve nyo yung mga certain items with regards to percent composition, pati empirical formula. No? So try natin to number 4. How many grams of carbon are there in 83.5 grams of formaldehyde? No? So, since tinatanong yung mass ng isang element, ang kailangan mo gawin dyan ay kunin mo yung percent mass muna ng element na gusto mo hanapin. No? So, to solve for the percent mass of carbon, that is just the number of carbon atoms. No? Sulat natin dito. The number of carbon atoms times its molar mass of carbon, divided by the molar mass of your compound, which is formaldehyde, times 100%. No? So, ganun lang yung formula niya. So, lang. Yan. Okay. Then, ano na? So, yan. Ilang carbon meron tayo? Just one carbon atom. The molar mass of the carbon atom is 12.011 grams per mole. I will not write the unit anymore kasi ka-cancel din natin yung later on. No? Then, the molar mass of the compound, CH2O, so that's 30.026 grams per mole times 100%. No? So that gives you a percent composition of 1,12,011. So that's 40%. No? So that's 40%. That means 40% of your compound here, 40% na tong 83.5 grams na yan ay carbon lang. No? So to get the mass of carbon, this percent carbon times the mass of your sample, of your compound. So that's 0.4, gawin na nating decimal, times 83.5 grams, giving you 33.4 grams. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, ganun lang yung answer dyan sa 4, no? So, punta tayo sa iba pang items. How many grams of nitrogen are there in a fertilizer containing 48.5 grams of ammonium nitrate, no? So, since walang formula na binigay, ang binigay ay name, so you should be able to get an idea kung ano yung formula from the name, no? So, nagawa na naman natin to before, diba? Around chapter 2, no? So, nag-naming tayo. So, apply natin, no? Pag sinabing ammonium, that is a cation with the formula of NH4+. Yung nitrate naman, NO3 minus yan, no? So, the exponents are 1. Para silang 1. So, kapag krinis-cross mo yan, basically, wala ka nang gagawin. 1 lang yun, no? So, the formula is just NH4NO3, no? So, ganun. NH4NO3. Yan ang formula ng ammonium nitrate. So, hinahanap yung percent ng isang element, no? So, para mahanap mo yung percent ng element na yon, kunin mo uli yung percent mass ng nitrogen this time. So, that's the number of carbon atoms, the molar mass of, nitrogen. The number of nitrogen atom, the molar mass of nitrogen, divided by the molar mass of ammonium nitrate, times 100. So, that's 2 nitrogen atoms. 14.007 ang molar mass niyan. And ang kanyang molar mass ng compound times 2, 008 times 4 plus 15.999 times 3. Okay, so that's 80.043 grams per mole times 100. giving you the percent nitrogen equal to 0.35. No. Ay, percent nga pala. Times 100. So that's 35%. Kasi ano eh, 34.998, no? So, ni-round up ko na. So, 35% of the compound is nitrogen, no? So, to get the mass of nitrogen, that's 0.35 or 35% times the mass of your compound, which is 48.5 grams. That's equal to 16,974 or 98 na lang, no? 16.98 grams ng compound ay nitrogen, no? So, ganun lang. Sasagutan na natin itong 6, itong 7 naman, yung last one sa part na to. So, for number 7, we have to determine the formula of the compound having a composition by mass. Potassium is 2475, manganese 3477, oxygen 4051 na. So ang gagawin natin dito, itong ginawa nating parang table last time na. So I will use this table na lang. Palitan ko lang yung details. No? Para gawa na lang tayo nito. So kagaya ng typical percent composition problems, you have to create this sort of table, no, para matrack mo yung progress sa pagdetermine ng empirical formulas, no. Don't forget yung mga conditions, no, kasi baka mamaya may 0.33 dyan, may 0.5, di ko sure, pero alam ko yung formula eh. So anyway, teka lang. Okay. So looking at the problem, ano sabi doon? 2475 potassium. That's 24.75% potassium. 3477 manganese. And 4051 oxygen. Okay. So ayan, so with all those details, no, pwede natin i-plug in yon dito sa ating table, na. So elements natin K, M, N, O. Okay. So the percent compound, we just have to write them: 2475, 3477, 4051%, no. Hindi ka na lalagay yung unit na percent. If we assume the sample is 100 gram, then the mass of that element is the percent value na rin, no? So, kumbaga, ma-cancel lang yung percent sa pag minultiply mo yun sa 100, no? So, the mass of potassium, if we assume that the sample is 100 grams, ay 24.75 grams, no? Okay. Ang manganese naman is 3477 grams. And yung oxygen is 4051 grams. So the next step is yung moles, no? Okay, so paano kinukuha yung mole? That's mass of your element divided by the molar mass of your element, no? So that's 2475 divided by potassium 3909. Mamaya ko na i-solve lahat. Sulat ko lang muna expression. So for manganese, that's 3477 divided by 54,938. And for oxygen, that's 4051 divided by 15,999. Okay, so for moles of potassium, that's 0.633, no? For manganese, that's 0.633. So for oxygen, that's 2.532. Okay? So yan yung mga moles nila. So pagdating sa reduced mole, all we have to do is to divide the moles by the smallest number, which is 0.63, no? So ito yung lowest, no? So yun yung i-divide natin sa mga moles natin, no? So that's 0.633 divided by 0.633. Obviously, 1 yan. 0.633 divided by 0.633. 1 din yan. And for oxygen, 2.532 divided by 0.633. That's 4. Since ang ating reduced moles ay integers, no, meaning whole number, wala silang decimal na 0.5 at 0.3. So, yun na rin yung subscript natin, no. So, copyin lang natin. So that means the empirical formula of compound having 24.75% potassium, 34.77% manganese, and 40.51% oxygen would be KMNO4. No? So ito yung kanyang empirical formula. Isang potassium, isang manganese, 4 na oxygen atoms. No? So ang question dyan, ano kaya name neto? So ito follow-up question. No? Kasi baka mamaya sa quiz, no? Ang given ay ganito. Tapos, ang hanapin ay yung pangalan. So, kailangan alam din natin yung name ng ating compounds. No? So, ito, metal yan. So, that means ito, hindi yan metal. So, ganun na. Ay, ano siya, hindi siya, not necessarily hindi metal. Anion pala. No? So, nauuna yung cation muna before the anion, di ba? So, K is the cation kasi siya yung nauuna parate. Then, the rest is your anion. No? So, K, potassium. MnO4, yan ay permanganate. No? So, the name of the compound is potassium permanganate. No? Permanganate. Yan. So, ganun lang. So, madali pa lang naman. No? So, ngayon naman, punta naman tayo dito sa experimental determination of empirical formulas. No? So, ano to? Parang yung ginagawa din natin kanina. But this time, iba yung sistema. No? May additional na ano lang, na trick. No? So, paano ba natin nalalaman yung percent formula? No? Sabi ko last time, we can determine the percent formula using XRD or XRF. No? So yun ay mga X-ray devices wherein it bounces off electrons ng atoms sa isang compound, no? And then marireceive yun ng detector ng instrument, no? So marireceive nun kung anong electron yung ini-emit ng compound mo. Kung galing yan sa potassium, kung galing yan sa carbon, so on and so forth, no? So para yung barrel, no, na itututok mo lang sa compound mo, mas malalaman mo na yung percent composition niya, no? Another way to do that is by this one. No? Kukombust mo yung material mo. Okay, so paano yung ginagawa dito? So for example, you have your compound here. No? Usually this applies to CHO compounds. No? Mga carbon, hydrogen, oxygen containing compounds. No? So you have your organic compound here. So organic compound sila yung may madalas na CHO. Yan. So this is your organic compound, for example, ethanol. ibe-burn mo yan. So, susunugin mo yung compound, no? Ano ba nangyayari kapag nasunog yung isang compound? Magpo-produce yon ng CO2, H2O, no? Ayan. So, mangyayari, if your organic compound burns, no, magpo-produce yan ng H2O, water vapor, and CO2, no? Carbon dioxide, no? Okay? So, anong ginagawa dito? So, dito sa sa mga YouTube dito, meron tayong water absorber and carbon dioxide absorber, no? So, syempre may initial weight 'yan before the combustion. Then since yung ating organic compound that will produce CO2 and H2O, i-absorb nitong absorber yung water and CO2. So, ano kaya mangyayari sa mass nila? Siyempre, tataas yung mass nila. Kasi na-absorb nila yung H2O at CO2 ng nasusunog na compound. No? So, pagtaas ng mass niyan, no, that means, pwede mo malaman yung formula ng iyong organic compound from from this idea lang kung ilan yung H2O na na-produce niya, ilang CO2 yung na-produce niya. No? So, kumbaga, mas naging technical lang yung ginagawa natin. No? Dagdagan lang ng isa pang step. No? So, ano uli yung nangyayari dito? Susunugin mo yung organic compound, no? That will produce H2O and CO2. Then, for those compounds, no, yung H2O and CO2, may absorber para sa kanila. So, yung absorber, ang purpose nun is to determine kung ano yung mass ng compounds na na-produce from the burning compound dito sa organic compound mo. So, pag nalaman mo yung amount ng water at nalaman mo yung amount ng carbon, pwede mo na makuha yung empirical formula. No? So, paano daw yan? No? So, ganito lang. No? Medyo fancy lang yung steps. Although same lang. No? So, ganito daw. Sabi dito, for example, we have, magbibigay pa ako ng example dito. Consider the compound of ethanol. Suppose that in one experiment, the combustion of 11.5 grams ethanol produced 22 grams of carbon dioxide and 13.5 grams of water. We can calculate the mass of carbon, hydrogen in the original 11.5 gram sample of ethanol as follows. No? So, kumbaga, sabi lang dito, from the mass of your carbon dioxide and the mass of your water molecules, you can determine the mass of carbon and mass of oxygen. No? Ayan. So, ganun lang gagawin natin. So, paano po kino-compute yung mass ng carbon at yung mass ng hydrogen? Okay, so, ganito lang yung gagawin. So, you have your mass ng carbon dioxide, mass ng water. All you have to do is to convert them into moles of carbon dioxide. No? So, paano mo gagawin tong moles? E di i-divide mo yan sa molar mass. So, itong part na to, that is mass over molar mass lang. So, you get the moles of your carbon dioxide, you get here the moles of your water. So, once you have the moles of your water and moles of carbon dioxide, then, pwede mo i-convert yung compound into atoms, the moles of the atoms. Paano yon? So, ganito yan. Dito tayo sa second na fraction. So, to convert the moles of your carbon dioxide to the mole of carbon, 1:1 lang yan. 1 mole of carbon dioxide equal 1 mole ng carbon. Paano natin nalaman na 1 lang yan? And just look at the formula. Ilang carbon meron dyan? Isa lang. So, ibig sabihin, isang mole lang ng carbon, pwede mo kunin doon. Okay? So, dito naman tayo kay water. So, H2O. O, ilang hydrogen atoms meron? 2. So, if you have 1 mole of water, you have 2 moles of hydrogen atoms. No? So, ganun lang. So, that is mass divided by molar mass para makuha mo yung mole ng carbon dioxide and mole ng water. Then, ito naman, ang purpose nito is to convert the compound into elements. No? Carbon and hydrogen. So, ganun. Then once you have the moles of your carbon and hydrogen, you can determine the mass of your carbon and the mass of your hydrogen. Paano? Just multiply the moles of those elements by their molar masses, no? Okay? So, then makukuha natin yung grams ng carbon, grams ng hydrogen, so on and so forth, no? Ngayon, ano pa sabi dito? So yan, sabi dyan, we have 11.5 grams of ethanol contains 6 grams of carbon and 1.51 grams of hydrogen. Yung natira daw must be oxygen. Okay? So, ganun. By the way, sasabihin naman kung anong elements yung mga meron dyan. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. Sasabihin naman yun sa problem. Okay. So, that means, no, kailangan yung iyong mass ng compound must be equal to the masses of your atoms in there. No? So, you have 6 grams of carbons, 1.51 grams of hydrogen. So, that means yung natira ay yung oxygen na lang. So, paano kinukuha yung oxygen madalas? Mass of sample minus the mass of carbon, mass of hydrogen. No? Bakit? No? Kasi sabi natin, mass ng carbon plus mass ng hydrogen plus mass ng oxygen, oxygen atom. Okay? That will give you the mass of your compound. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, nire-write lang yung equation na yon to have this equation. Mass oxygen equals mass of sample minus the mass of carbon plus mass of hydrogen. So that means 4 grams yung oxygen sa compound mo. Since you have the masses na, doon kayo babalik dito. So kumbaga in-skip natin to. Wala tayong formula eh. Okay. So nakuha natin yung mass ng elements from the experiment elimination, no? From carbon dioxide, water. So nakuha natin yung mass ng elements na yon. Then we have to do the rest of the table to get the empirical formula. Okay? Medyo mahaba lang yung process, no? Pero yung concept still the same. Puro mass, smaller mass lang naman yun eh, no? Okay, so I'll give some examples, no? By the way, ito yung answer daw dun, no? So yan. The formula is C2H6O kasi may decimal yung ayan. So, basta yan daw yung formula. Okay. So, anyway. So, let's do this na. Ilang items to? Ayun, dami. Sa inyo na yung iba. Dami. Sasagot lang ako ng mga representative na. Ito kasi, bigyan ko na kayong idea. Ito, sagutan natin to. Mamaya na. Ang sasagutan nyo na lang siguro ay yung iba parang galing lang din sa ano eh. Ito. Number. Tapos sagutan ko tong 3. Kasi combustion siya. Itong 4. Okay. Kayo magsasagot na lang yan, no? Ito. So, yung naka-red, kayo magsasagot. Naulit lang pala yung ibang problem dito. Medyo marami kayong sasagutan. Paulit-ulit lang naman yung idea eh. So, sige, ako na lang magsasagot ng mga combustion problems dito para may idea tayo kung paano. Okay, so I'll try this number 3. So what is the molecular formula of a compound containing only carbon and hydrogen if combustion of 1.05 grams of the compound produces 3.30 grams carbon dioxide and 1.35 grams of water. No? So, ano yung first step dito? So, ang gagawin nyo parate, no? Ang unang step is to convert the mass of carbon dioxide and the mass of water into mass of carbon and hydrogen, no? Siguro dito na lang sa gilid, no? Steps, no? Experimental determination. So, gawin natin to. So, step 1. Ano yung step 1 natin? Convert mass ng H2O, mass ng water, at ng mass ng CO2 into mass carbon, mass hydrogen. Okay? So, ganun yung first step parate. Convert your mass of water or carbon dioxide into mass of carbon and hydrogen atoms. So we have here 3.30 grams of CO2 and 153 gram, 135, yeah, 1.35 grams of water. Okay, so ganun lang. So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Convert natin, no? So, to get the mass of carbon, that is the mass of carbon dioxide divided by the molar mass of carbon dioxide. Ano yung purpose? Para makuha yung mole ng carbon dioxide. So, ganun muna yung first step. Mass ng carbon dioxide divided by the molar mass of carbon dioxide giving you the moles of carbon dioxide. Ano sunod? Yung mole ng carbon dioxide, i-convert mo sa moles ng carbon. Okay, so that's the mole CO2, mole carbon. Bakit nasa baba yung CO2? Para mag-cancel. Okay, so as we can see, if we have 1 mole of CO2, we also have 1 mole of carbon based on its formula. Isa lang kasi yung carbon doon. So, tig 1 and 1 lang yung kanilang coefficients. No? So, ganun. Then, para makuha mo yung mass, no? So, by this time, sa fraction na to, nakamole na tayo ng carbon dioxide. And I mean carbon. Kasi na-cancel na yung carbon dioxide na. Mole to ng carbon dioxide times this. Magka-cancel yung CO2. Ang matitira ay carbon na lang. Okay? So, ganun lang. Then, para ma-convert mo yung moles ng carbon into mass ng carbon, you have to multiply that by the molar mass of carbon. Okay? So, plug in natin. So we have 3.30 grams CO2. By the way, itong type ng problem na to, since paulit-ulit to, pwede nyo na gamitin itong format na to nyo. Yung kung ano yung susulat natin, yun at yun na yung gagawin nyo. Ipa-plug in nyo na lang. Plug in nyo na lang yung values para hindi na kayo malito-lito pa. No? Pero yung concept, same lang. Ano? Convert lang ginagawa natin. Teka lang. Molar mass ng CO2 is 44,009 grams per mole. Pwede nyo na rin gamitin yung molar mass, no? Kopyahin nyo na lang talaga. Ang papalitan nyo lang itong mga mass lang na to. We have 1 mole carbon, 1 mole CO2. Molar mass ng carbon is 12.011 grams per mole carbon. So as you can see, carbon dioxide will cancel out. Grams, magka-cancel. Mole, magka-cancel. Yung mole, magka-cancel as well. So, giving us the final unit of grams. Plug in ko lang sa Calcio. That's 0.90. Okay, so we have mass of carbon equal to 0.90 grams. No? Okay, so ganun lang. So that's for carbon. Hydrogen naman. So paano ginagawa yun sa hydrogen? You have your mass of your water divided by the molar mass of water para ma-convert siya into moles times the conversion ng water to hydrogen. So, mole ng H2O sa baba para mag-cancel. Mole ng hydrogen sa taas. No? Kasi hydrogen atom yung gusto natin malaman. So, if we have 1 mole of water, how many moles of hydrogen are there? And just look at the subscript. No? So, we have 2H here. Ibig sabihin niya, may dalawa tayong hydrogen atoms. No? 2 moles of hydrogen atoms. No? Then finally, i-multiply mo yan sa molar mass ng carbon. Sa molar mass ng hydrogen. Okay? So, ganun lang. So same lang sila ng format, no? So, kokopyahin nyo na lang talaga. Mass ng water is 135 grams. Molar mass ng water is 18,015 grams per mole. The rest, kopyahin mo na lang. 2 mole H, 1 mole H2O times the molar mass of uh, hydrogen, 1008 grams per mole. So as you can see, H2O will cancel out. H na lang yung matitirang atom. Grams, magka-cancel. Moles, magka-cancel. Another mole, magka-cancel. So the final unit is always in grams, no? Multiply ko lang. So this is 0.15 grams ng hydrogen. So 0.15 grams ng hydrogen ang meron sa compound natin. Okay? So ganun lang. Basahin natin yung question. Ang compound natin it only contains carbon and hydrogen, no? So kailangan pag pinag-add natin yung mass ng carbon pati yung mass ng hydrogen, that should give us this mass. Okay? So itong mass ng compound. Alam, pag pinag-add natin yung mass kanina ng carbon and hydrogen, kailangan mag-add up sila to be 1.05. Bakit? Kasi sabi dito sa problem, ang compound natin ay carbon and hydrogen lang yung atoms doon. So check natin. So mass ng carbon plus mass of hydrogen must be 105. 105 ba? Okay. So check natin kung tama ang ano. So that's 0.9 for carbon, 0.15 for hydrogen. So 1.05 grams nga yan. Okay? So ganun. Kunwari, may sinabing oxygen. Kunwari, may oxygen. So iladagdag mo lang dito yung oxygen. So sabihin naman yung sa problem kung may oxygen. I think yung next problem is may ganun, no? Pero this time, ganito muna tayo. Okay? So ano yung kailangan natin i-keep in mind? Yung mass ng ating elements must be equal to the mass of your sample. Kapag sumobra yan, baka may mali lang, no? So you have to go back dito sa mga pinagagawa natin dito. Okay. Pag kinulang yan, baka may nakalimutan kang element, no? Okay, so ganun lang. So kailangan exactly equal sila. Kasi itong mga to, galing yun dito sa iyong sample, no? Okay, so since we're good na dyan, nakuha na natin yung mass ng ating elements, we can now proceed to the empirical formula. Okay, so yun yung first step. So the first step, convert mo yung mass ng H2O, CO2 into mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen. No? Second step, determine empirical formula. Okay, so paano dinedetermine yung empirical formula? Yun lang yung ginawa natin kaninang table. No? So you have your element here. Instead of having percent mass, wala na tayong ganun. Mass of the element na lang now. Then yung mass, convert mo to moles. Yung moles, convert mo to reduced moles. Red mole na lang. Reduced moles. Then your subscript. Ayan, nadagdagan lang tayo ng steps na. Okay, so let's do this. No? So carbon, hydrogen, 0.9 grams, 0.15 grams. No? Convert na natin sila into moles. That's 0.9 divided by 12,011. Medyo maraming decimal point, no? So 0.749 na lang. So for hydrogen, ang moles niyan ay 0.1488. Okay, so paano ginagawa yung reduced moles uli? So just look dito sa dalawang mole kung sino yung smallest number, which is this one. So you have to divide your moles with the smallest number. So divide natin to by the smallest number. So that means 0.0749 divided by 0.0749. Edi 1 yan. 0.1488 divided by 0.749. Feeling ko 2 yan. Siyempre 2. 1.98, no? Pag ganun, we can round it up na, no? 2. Ano lang hindi pwede natin yung 0.33, pati yung 0.5. Pero kapag kunwari 0.98, 0.97, gawin mo na yung whole number, no? So, ganun lang. So, that's 1, 2 to. So, the subscripts are 1 and 2. So, that means the empirical formula of the compound is CH2. Okay, so yan yung empirical formula niyan. So kung yan yung tanong, pwede na tayo huminto dyan. Hinto ka na dyan sa CH2. Pero ano ba yung tanong? Tingnan natin yung question. Sabi dito sa problem, what is the molecular formula eh? So formula yung hinahanap, hindi empirical formula. I mean, molecular formula yung hinahanap. Ano ba yung difference ng empirical formula sa molecular formula? Na? So, ang molecular formula that tells us the actual number of atoms in a molecule. Yung mismong dami ng atoms. Pag empirical formula, ang meron lang tayo ay reduced number of atoms. Bakit nire-reduce? Kasi reducible. Na? Kunwari, even numbers yung mga subscript, pwede mo yan i-divide by 2. Na? So, mga ganun na. So, ibig sabihin, since we are looking for the molecular formula, we have to do something pa. Okay? Ano ba sabi dito? What is the molecular formula of the compound? The molar mass is about 70 grams per mole. Okay. So, anong gagawin natin dun sa idea na yun? No? Pupunta tayo sa step 3. So, nagawa na natin yung empirical formula. Ngayon, hanapin natin yung molecular formula. Determining molecular formula. Okay, so alamin natin yung molecular formula. Paano yan, no? So, ganito. Kung mapapansin nyo, yung ating empirical formula, we divide that by a number to get the empirical formula, di ba? For example, C6H12O6, yun yung molecular formula. Para makuha yung empirical formula, dinivide natin yan sa 6, no? Para makuha yung CH2O. So, that is divided by 6. Ngayon, baliktad yung gagawin natin. Hahanapin natin kung saan dinivide itong empirical formula para malaman ang molecular formula. Hahanapin natin kung anong number yung dinivide sa kanya. Paano gagawin yon? Madali lang, no? To get that number, para makuha mo yung kung saan siya dinivide, ganito lang. So, paano malalaman yung multiplier, no? So, multiplier. So, madali lang yan. That is the molar mass of your molecular formula. I-divide mo yon sa molar mass ng empirical formula. Okay? So, by dividing the two, i-round off mo na lang siya to whole number, you will get the multiplier. To what number is your molecular formula divided to get the empirical formula? No? So, alamin mo kung saan siya dinivide. Whole number yan usually. Pwedeng 1, pwedeng 2, pwedeng 3. No? So, kung may decimal man yan, i-round up mo na. No? So, alamin natin yung multiplier for this problem. So, the molar mass of your molecular formula, according to problem, is 70 grams per mole. The molar mass of your empirical formula, ito yon, that can be obtained by adding the atomic masses na lang. No? So, carbon is 12, no? So, carbon is 12. Di ko nalalagay yung decimal, no? Carbon is 12. Isa lang yon, so 12 lang yon. Tapos may dalawa tayong hydrogen. So what? That's 1 times 2. So that's 70 divided by 14. 14 na. That's 5. Okay? So the multiplier na gagamitin natin for our empirical formula to be molecular formula is 5 na. So ano gagawin natin sa 5 no? Imo-multiply mo 'yon sa subscript. So itong C maging C5 na 'yan. Itong H2 maging H10. So we will get the empirical formula. So ganun lang no. So that means in summary, empirical formula is CH2. Molecular formula is times 5 ng EF. So, ito times 5 mo lang yung subscripts niya. So, that's C5H10. Okay? So, that is your molecular formula. Medyo mahaba yung steps, no? So, bibigyan kita ng copy. Lagay ko dito sa GC natin. Kasi mag-a-answer. Since ikaw lang naman mag-isa dito, Mariel, no? So, ikaw yung magsasagot ng isang item. Wala yung iba eh. Pero bigyan kita ng format, no? So, ganun lang naman yung gagawin, no? Although, bago ka magsagot, magsasagot pa ako ng isang item. No? Magsasagot pa ako ng isa, then yung matitira mamaya, ikaw na bahala, no? So, ito, say na tong number 5, no? So, sasagutan ko yung isa pang ganyang uri ng problem. Itong number 4. Basta ganun lang yung steps, ha? So, paano uling experimental determination? Kapag binigay sa inyo yung mass ng H2O, mass ng carbon dioxide, ganito gagawin nyo. Convert nyo sila into mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen using this formula. Itong formula na to, fix na yan. Kopyahin nyo na lang. Ang papalitan nyo na lang ay yung mass ng CO2. Kung ano yung nakalagay sa problem, ilagay nyo. So, makuha nyo yung mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen. After that, check mo kung pag pinag-add mo yung mga atomic masses na yon, that is equal to your substance or your sample mass. No? Kailangan equal yon sa sample mass. Kasi kapag kinulang, baka may nakalimutan kang item. No? Baka may nakalimutan kang element. No? Mamaya may oxygen pa pala. So, hanapin mo pa yung oxygen. Okay? So, pero this case, carbon and hydrogen lang naman yung element natin. So, kapag pinag-add natin itong dalawang masses, dapat equal talaga yon sa mass ng ating sample, which is true naman. No? So, nakita natin na okay yung ating mass. After determining the masses of carbon and hydrogen, your elements, alamin mo na yung empirical formula. So, use the table, gaya ng ginagawa natin last time. So, gawin mo lang uli yan. You get the reduced moles, then subscripts, no? Kapag ito ay 0.99, 0.98, i-round up mo na yon sa 1. Okay? So, ganun. Pero kapag yan ay 0.5, ito times 2 mo lahat. Times 2 mo to, times 2 mo yon. Pag yan ay 0.3, i-multiply mo lahat sa 3. No? Para maging rounded up to 1 siya, no? So, kunin mo yung superscripts to. Subscripts, no? Kunin mo yung subscript, you will have the empirical formula. If you want to determine the molecular formula, para malaman mo yung molecular formula, you have to determine kung ano yung multiplier mo. Ano yung number na imo-multiply sa iyong subscripts sa empirical formula to get the molecular formula. So, paano yon? Molecular formula divided by the molar mass of empirical formula. Usually, ang molar mass ng molecular formula ay given. Hindi pwedeng hindi given yan. Kasi hindi mo masasolve yan, no? Pag ganun yung problem, ang hinahanap lang dapat doon ay empirical formula. Pero kunwari, pinahanap yung molecular formula, pero wala kang molar mass ng molecular formula, hindi mo masasagutan yan. Okay? Okay, so yan. So, that's the molar mass of your molecular formula divided by the molar mass of empirical formula. Paano kinukuha ito? Just add the atoms, no? 12 itong carbon, 1 itong hydrogen times 2. Yung kanilang atomic masses. So, divide mo to. You get a whole number. Kapag may decimal yan, i-round up, no? Usually, ang decimal dyan, mga 0.5, so on and so forth. So, yan. Then, since may multiplier ka na, to get the molecular formula, i-multiply mo lang yun sa subscript. So, this 1 times 5 magiging 5. 2 times 5 magiging 10. So, this is your molecular formula. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, I will do another problem. Sir, yung 70, saan po galing? Yung 70 given yun. Nakalagay dito sa problem eh. So, its molar mass is about 70 grams, no? Yun daw yung molar mass ng compound. Given yun parate, no? Kaya, nothing to worry masyado. Basta yun sabi lang dito, the molar mass is about 70 grams. So, yun. For example, letter ano, the molecular mass of acetic acid was determined to be 60 atomic mass units or 60 grams per mole. Okay. Dito sa sasagutan mo, dito naman sa answeran mo ay ano, dito sa answeran mo percent composition lang naman hanap, no? So hindi mo na kailangan kunin yung hindi mo na kailangan kunin yung empirical formula dito. Okay? So sige, sagutan ko tong 4. Sagutan natin tong 4 pero mag-ingat tayo. Bakit? Naka-milligram eh. Okay, so naka-milligram yung masses natin. So we have to convert them into grams pa. Okay, so anyway, basahin natin yung number 4. Acetic acid contains only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, so yun. May oxygen na tayo this time. Kanina wala, ngayon meron. So paano gagawin to? Tignan nyo lang. Wait lang. So mass ng sample, that's mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen, and mass ng oxygen. Okay? So a 4.24 milligram sample of acetic acid is completely burned. No? It gives 6.21 milligrams of carbon dioxide. Okay, so anyway. So the mass of carbon dioxide is 6.21 milligrams and 2.54 milligrams of water naman. 2.54 milligrams of water. What is the percent mass of each element? Determine the empirical formula. The molecular mass. Hinahanap din yung molecular mass actually. Okay, so ganun. So hinahanap yung mass percentage ng kada element. So yun yung unang hinahanap. A, percent mass of elements. B, empirical formula. And C, every time na given ang molecular mass, pag given yung molecular mass, ito, hanapin mo rin yung molecular formula. Matik yun. Okay? So, hanapin pala sa problem na to. No? So anyway, solve na tayo. So, bago mo masagutan tong mga to, alamin mo muna kung ano yung masses ng iyong elements. No? Kumpletuhin mo muna itong info na to. Important to eh. Kailangan alam mo itong mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen, pati mass ng oxygen. So, skip mo muna yung ibang sinabi sa problem. Alamin mo muna yung masses ng elemento natin. No? So, yan. Feeling ko kailangan ng space. Dito na lang. Kasya ba? Hindi. Lipat ko na lang doon sa kabila. Lipat ko sa kabila para maraming space. Oops. Okay, so ayan. So, ano sabi natin? Kailangan hanapin mo muna yung mass ng iyong elements. No? Bago mo masagutan yung ibang pinagsasabi sa problem, alamin mo muna yung kada masses nito. Okay? Important yan eh. So, anyway, let's do that. No? Gawin natin, mass ng carbon is equal to mass CO2, mass na molar mass ng CO2, 1 mole CO2, 1 mole carbon. times the molar mass ng carbon. Okay, so ganun lang. Tapos yung mass ng hydrogen, mass ng H2O, molar mass ng H2O times 1 mole H2O, 2 mole H, no? Kumbaga, inuulit lang natin yung nakalagay dito. Ayan. So, nakwento na naman natin kung bakit ganito yung formula eh. So, ganun lang, no? Type in mo lang lahat ng mga ganyan. Then, solve for the masses, no? Teka lang. Baba ko to para may space sa gitna. Yan. Okay, so let's solve for the mass carbon. Mass carbon, edi yung mass ng carbon dioxide mo, ano ba sabi dyan? 621 milligrams, no? So yung 621 milligrams, convert mo pa yan to grams, just divide it by 1,000. Okay, so dividing it by 1,000, that will be 6.21 times 10 raised to negative 3 grams. Okay, pwede may calculate na lang yan. 6.21 divided by 1,000. Yan din naman yung lalabas. 6.21 times 10 raised to negative 3. Okay, important na i-convert mo siya to milligrams. No? Mamaya kasi baka magkamali ng adding. Gulat ka naging grams, no? Eh, milligram lang yung sample mo. So, ganun. Convert lang. Molar mass ng CO2, kopyahin lang natin nakalagay dito. 44,009 gram per mole. 1 mole C, 1 mole CO2. Tapos, molar mass ng carbon, 12,011. Okay. So, ganun. Kumbaga, ang pinapalitan lang talaga natin itong nasa taas. The rest is the same. So, ulit-ulit lang talaga tayo ng gagawin. So, other units will cancel. Hanapin natin yung mass ng carbon. 6.21 times 12 divided by ano ko na ha, scientific notation ko na. 1.69 10 raised to negative 3 grams or in milligrams, para i-convert yan sa milligram times 1,000 lang. So that would be 1.69 milligrams. Bakit ko milligram? Kasi yung mass ng sample natin ay naka-milligram din. So mas madali mag-ganon. Although pwede rin naman naka-grams, no? So basta wag lang malito sa units. Hydrogen naman tayo. Mass ng water, ano sabi dyan? 254. Times 10 raised to negative 3 lang yon. Ayan na yun. 254. 2.54. So, kailangan i-divide ulit sa 1,000 kasi milligram yun eh. Meron tayo ay grams, no? Tapos yung molar mass ng water, kopyahin ko na lang. Ano ba yung nakalagay dito? 18,015. 2 mole H. 1 mole H2O. Molar mass ng water, hydrogen pala, is 1.008 grams per mole. Okay, so ulit-ulit lang, cancel. Then, 2.54 negative 3 divided by, so that would be 2.84 times 10 raised to negative 4 grams, or in decimal, that is 0. Or in milligrams pala, that's 0.28 milligrams, no? Recheck ko lang ha. Okay, so that's 2.84 times 10 raised to negative 4 grams. Pag gagawin mo yung milligrams, times 1,000 lang. So that's 0.284 milligrams. Gawin ka ng 0.28 na lang kasi naka 2 decimal places yung isa. Anyway, okay lang naman yun, na. Okay, so ano meron na tayo? Di ba sabi natin kanina, mass ng sample is equal to mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen, plus mass ng oxygen. Okay, so ganun lang. Ano yung mass ng carbon? 1.69 milligrams. Mass ng hydrogen is 0.28 milligram. Ang mass ng sample natin, according sa problem, ay 4.24 milligrams. Ngayon, ano yung mass ng oxygen? Paano mo malalaman yung mass ng oxygen? Ay, subtract mo lang, no? So, parang x lang yan, no? 1.69 plus 0.28 plus x equals 4.24, no? So, ganun lang. Just solve for this missing number. Ano yung pwede natin ilagay dito para maging 4.24 yung sum nila? So, solve ko lang. So, for that number, that will be 2.27 milligrams lang. So, paano na-solve yun? You just transpose this equation. Okay? Itong term na to, lipat mo lang yun dun sa kabila, no? So, that's the mass of oxygen equal to mass ng sample minus mass ng carbon, mass ng hydrogen. So, ito yung formula na nandun kanina sa earlier example natin. No? So, ganun lang ginawa to get the mass of oxygen. 1.69 plus 0.28 milligrams. Kalimutan yung unit. Okay, so that will give you 2.27 milligrams. No? So, ganun lang. So, yan. Ito yung first step. Ito yung important parate. No? Alamin mo yung mass ng elements mo. Okay, so after doing that, check natin kung ano yung hinahanap sa problem. Letter A, percent mass of the elements. No? So, ano daw yung percent masses nila? Paano ba natin kinukuha yung percent mass nila? Okay, so one way to determine the percent mass of the element is by the formula. Yung ginagawa natin kanina na mass of your element, no, is equal to the number of element, the molar mass of element, divided by the molar mass of compound times 100. Ano yung problema dito? Ang problema is wala tayong formula. Hindi natin masasolve yung molar mass ng compound. So, kailangan tayo gumawa ng workaround, no? Kailangan kunin natin yung, kailangan makuha natin yung percent mass ng element pa rin, even without the idea of the molar mass ng compound. Although sinabi nung kanina, di ba? Okay, so but anyway, hindi naman natin alam din yung number of elements sa formula. So, wala rin tayong way to answer that. Kahit alam natin yung molar mass ng compound, 60 milligrams, 60 grams per mole daw to eh. Sabi sa problem na. So, hindi natin alam yung number of elements. So, anong gagawin? So, ganito lang. Another way to solve for the percent mass is yung mass ng element divided by the mass of your sample times 100. Mas madali ito. Kasi bakit? We have elements na dito, no? So, ito na yung mga elements natin. Ito na yung kanilang masses. Tapos may mass din tayo ng sample. So, all we have to do lang pala is to divide this by this number. Divide this by that number. Divide this by that number. Okay? So, ganun lang ka-easy. Times 100, na? So, yun yung way natin. Yun yung workaround natin to solve for the percent mass even though we do not have the formula yet. So, that's the mass of your element divided by the mass of your sample. Since kaya na naman yung gawin, so percent carbon, percent hydrogen, percent oxygen. Ano ba sabi dito sa carbon? 169 milligram. Ano yun? 4.24. Yung hydrogen ay 0.28. Tama ba? Okay. 0.28 milligram, 4.24 milligram times 100. And oxygen, 2.07 milligram, 4.24 milligram times 100. Ayan. So, solve na natin. So, ganun lang ka-easy yung workaround na. Basta alalahanin nyo lang yung mga ways Hindi lang naman tayo limited sa option na to. Meron ding iba pang paraan na. Okay, so yan. Dagdag formula na naman yan. Okay, so this is 3986%. Okay, so that's the percent carbon. Hydrogen naman, 0.28. 6.60% hydrogen. Oxygen na lang natira. Okay, so oxygen is 53.54%. Okay, so we have the percent mass na. Okay, so ganun lang ka-easy. Check natin kung 100% yan. No? Okay, so that's 100% in total. Oh, very good. No? So, okay na tayo. So, nasagutan na natin yung question letter A. Letter A pa lang nasasagutan natin. Ang dami pang letters. No? So, yan. Okay na tayo sa letter A. Nakuha na natin yung kanyang mass elements. No? Next one, empirical formula. Anong gagawin sa empirical formula? Kung mapapansin nyo, meron na tayong percent element. No, pwede natin gawin yung table. No? Okay, so empirical formula. So, gawin na natin yung table. This time yung percent na, no? Ito na lang gamitin natin yung percent masses. Pwede rin naman itong mga milligram. So, ang ayaw ko lang sa milligram is, yun nga, maraming decimal. Okay, so okay na yung okay na itong percent na lang. Okay? Okay, so yan, you have your element here, percent mass nila, the mass, the mole, the reduced mole, and the subscript. So yan, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Okay, so ganun. Kunin ko na yung percent mass. Nandito lang naman yun. 3986. Okay, so ibig sabihin yan, yung mass niyan ay 39.86 na lang din. Assume 100 grams. Okay. So hydrogen, 6.60. So that will be 6.6 grams. And then oxygen, 53, 54. That would be 53, 54 grams. Ngayon, yung mole naman, that is the mass divided by the atomic mass. So, 39.8 divided by 12,011. This would be 3.31. 3.31 moles for carbon. Hydrogen, 6.55. And oxygen, ay, ngayong IG ko. Ano naman akong ginawa sa Instagram. Anyway, so 63.54 divided by 15,999. That's 3.35. Okay, so yan. So ito na yung ating moles. No? So ngayon, to get the reduced moles, ano yung gagawin natin sa reduced moles? Yung smallest number, yun yung gagawin nating divisor. No? So 3.31 divided by 3.31, 6.55 divided by 3.31, and 3.35 divided by 3.31. Okay, so we divide these numbers by the smallest numbers always to get the reduced moles. So that's 3.31, 1, 655, 3.31. Feeling ko around 2 yan. 1.97. Kapag mga ganon, pag 0.9, i-round up mo na yon. Okay? So, 2 mo na yan. So, ganun lang ha. Pag pwede mo na i-round up mo na. No? Ang hindi lang pwede i-round up ay 0.5, pati 0.3. No? So, bawal yan. Pinagbabawal yan. Basta mga 0.9, pwede na yan. 3.37, ay hindi, 3.35 divided by 3.31. This is 1.01. I-round down mo na yon. Okay. 3.35. That's 1. Okay. So our subscripts would be 1, 2, and 1 for the empirical formula. So our empirical formula is C1, H2O1. Hindi na pala yung sasama yung 1. So that would be CH2O. So yan. So yan yung ating empirical formula. Okay, so ganun lang. So yan ang empirical formula. Na-solve na natin. Check na natin dito. Next one, molecular formula. Sabi natin, to get the molecular formula, ano gagawin? Identify the multiplier. Okay, so identify the multiplier. So, paano ulit kinukuha yung multiplier? Molar mass ng molec formula divided by molar mass ng empirical formula. Okay, so molecular formula, ang sabi sa problem, balikan natin. Sabi sa problem, the molecular mass of acetic acid was determined to be 60 grams per mole or 60 AMU. Na? So, ibig sabihin yan, 60 yung molecular mass natin. So, that would be 60. O, empirical formula naman. So, paano kinukuha yan? Just add the atomic masses of your atoms in your empirical formula. So, carbon, 12. Hydrogen, 1 times 2. Oxygen, 16. Okay? So, ayan. Tapos, divide lang natin. 60 divided by... Okay, so that's 2. Okay, so, yan. So, the multiplier is 2. So, ibig sabihin nun, molecular formula, ayun, the empirical formula pala sinusulat ko dito. Ibig sabihin nun, empirical formula is CH2O. Then, the molecular formula would be times 2 lang. So, ita times 2 mo lang yung mga subscripts. C2, H4O2. So, that's the formula for acetic acid. No? CH3, C, double bond O, O, OH. So, tama nga. Okay. So, yan yung ating molecular formula for the acetic acid nga. Kasi ito yung structure niya. Ito yung structure ng acetic acid. Yung suka. Okay. So, yan. So, we have 2 carbons. C2, 4 na hydrogens. H4, 2 oxygen. O2. Okay. So, tama naman. No? So, you can Google it naman na kung ano yung itsura ng structure mo. Pero before you do that, no, bago nyo i-confirm kung tama ba yung molecular formula nyo, sagutan nyo muna. No? So, ganun lang yung steps. No? Paulit-ulit lang. Kaya, masasanay din kaya. No? Tsaka, mapapansin nyo, di ba? Yung table na ginamit natin last time, until now, nagagamit pa rin natin. No? Yes naman, kasi paulit-ulit nga lang yung process. Tapos yung percent, yung mass carbon, mass hydrogen, yung formula para makuha sila is ayan lang na. So all you have to do is to change this part na. I-highlight ko na yung papalitan nyo. So ito lang yung mga pinapalitan nyo, no? Ayan. So yun lang yung papalitan nyo. The rest is just the same. Copy nyo na lang. Then you will have your answers na. So ano lang yung mga kailangan ninyong keep in mind na. So yun, keep in mind kapag experimental determination, meaning may carbon dioxide, meaning may water. So ganito lang gagawin nyo, no? So yan, from the amount of carbon dioxide and the amount of water, kunin mo yung mass ng carbon, kunin mo yung mass ng hydrogen, then using those masses, you can determine kung ano yung mass ng oxygen, kung meron, no? Pag wala, edi wala, no? So ganun. If you want to determine the percent composition or the percent mass, so pwedeng ito yung formula na gamitin nyo. Ito yung ginagamit natin last time. Number of elements times the molar mass divided by the molar mass of the compound. Pwede rin naman ito yung bago, no? Yung mass ng element mo over the mass of your sample, which is given by the previous item na sinagutan natin. This divided by this, percent ng carbon. This divided by that, percent ng hydrogen. This divided by that, percent ng oxygen. So, ganun lang. Then you have your percent by masses na. Next one, empirical formula. So, itong empirical formula naman, ano ganap dito? So, yan, yung table pa rin, as is, no? Pwede yung gamitin mo sa table, kung may percent mass ka, mag-percent mass ka na. Pero kung wala kang percent mass, edi yung mass na lang na binigay. Okay? So, ganun lang. O, pwedeng ito, dito ka na agad, no? So, same lang naman yung lalabas. Okay, again, ano pa yung idea? Pag ito ay may 0.9, i-round up na. Pag yan ay 0.01, i-round down mo na. Ang hindi lang pwede i-round no, ay yung 0.5 pati 0.33. So yung 0.5 gagawin mo, imumultiply mo yan lahat by 2. Pag may 0.33 dyan, imumultiply mo lahat sa 3. Okay, so you will get your subscript. Then that's your empirical formula. If you want to determine the molecular formula, all you have to do is to get the multiplier. To what number are you going to multiply the subscripts para makuha ang molecular formula? So that's easy lang. Ang molecular formula, molar mass, given yan parate. Nasa problem yan. Okay, so yan. The molecular mass of your empirical formula, you can determine that by checking yung formula. No? I-add mo lang yung atomic masses nila. Kahit whole number na, okay lang. So, i-round up mo na lang yan. Sa integer dapat yan. So, 2. That means, yung empirical formula mo, para maging molecular formula, ita-times 2 mo lang yung subscripts. Okay? So, ganun lang. That's how you will arrive with that answer. No? So, by the way, ganito na lang gagawin natin, Marvin, no? Since wala yung iba. Siguro, we can end na dito sa part lang na ito. Although, magbibigay lang ako ng take-home assignment, no? Para sa lahat naman to this time, no? So, may papasagutan ako sa inyong items. Yung mga nasagutan ko, i-cross off ko na, no? Ayusin ko ulit, oh. Yung ibang item naman kasi dito ay percent pa rin. Percent composition lang din naman. Siguro yung sasagutan nyo ay ito, ayan. Ayan. Ito, nasagutan ko na ito eh. Nasagutan ko na rin yan. Sama na natin to. Sagutan nyo na yan. Okay. Dapat pala green. Okay. So, ganun. Okay. So, ganun na lang. So, yung ibang item, sagutan na lang ninyo sa free time nyo na lang. Or pwede ngayon din, no? Comment nyo na lang sa discussions page sa Canvas. Kasi, my plan is by next week, dun tayo mag-equations na, no? Yung mga balancing equation, no? Supposedly kasi, Gusto ko sana ngayon kaso wala sila. Pero okay lang naman, baka may ibang errands. So, next week na lang. We still have plenty of time naman, no. So we are about 2 weeks pa from your second prelims, no? Which is plenty of time pa rin. Kasi after this topic, kapag nakapag-chemical reactions na tayo, chemical equations, mabilis na lang yan eh. Although maraming math dyan. So, yan. So, pag natapos na natin ayan, no? So, ito sa Wednesday na lang ito. Chemical equations, Wednesday yan. Yung balancing. Pati stoichiometry, Wednesday din yan. Itong limiting and excess reagent reaction yield, yan yung sa Saturday. Tapos, by the last week of October, yung ibang school nag-ano na yan, no? Saan ba yun? Anong university yan? Mapua ata. Yung Mapua ay nag-ano eh. Nag-suspend sila ng classes prior to the holiday. I don't know with FEU yet kasi wala pa namang announcement, no? So, just in case na may ganon, na magkaroon ng parang undas break, kahit hindi na pwede pumunta ng mga sementeryo ngayon. Although, siguro sa iba pwede, no? Ano lang, magre-record na lang ako pag gano'n, no? So, anyway. Basta ganun lang, ha? So, sa ngayon, okay na muna tayo dito. I just want you to answer the items encircled in green. Then, itong item na 3 and 4, nasagutan ko na naman. Upload ko na lang dito sa meeting chat, no? Okay. Kasi, itong balancing equation, this is important, no? Okay lang, sama-sama talaga tayo dito para ma-discuss natin ng maayos, no? Okay, so yun lang naman. So anyway, do you have any question, Marvy? Marvy talaga. Mariel. Nakita ko kasi pangalan ni Marvy doon. May
None,
chance ka pa,
sir.
Mariel? None pa naman na. Sige, so ganun na lang muna. So upload ko dito sa chat natin kung ano yung mga sagot sa items na sinagutan natin. Tapos yung ibang items, kayo na magsagot na. Tapos next week, continuous na tayo. Sana present na lahat that time. Okay? So, yun lang. So, thank you, Mariel, no? And, ingat na lang, na. Sige. Upload ko na lang to sa YouTube pag gusto mo ulit
Okay,
panoorin.
sir.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you po.
thank you, Mariel, and
Thank
bye-bye.
you.
At,
Ay, sir, sorry po.
sige, sige lang po.
Yung in-upload ko po sa discussion, sir, na-view niyo po.
Ha?
May in-upload po ako yung answers po for...
Ay, nakita ko yan eh.
Thank you po.
Teka lang. Dito yun, di ba? Ayun. Okay naman to. Ito yung sinagutan natin kanina din, no? So naka-word pala to, no? Pwede naman comment nyo na lang din dito. Ayan. Pwede comment nyo na lang dito yung answers nyo. Tapos attach nyo na lang yung document na. So ganun na lang, ha. Okay, so thank you for Thank you for attending today, no. Kala ko matutulog uli ako ngayong hapon eh. Sige. So next time, no, sa Wednesday, balancing equation tayo. Tapos stoichiometry, no. So, mag-ready na lang sa mas matinding math doon. Although paulit-ulit lang naman yung math. Pero mas tricky nga lang, no. So anyway, so thank you, Mariel. See you again next week. So bye-bye po.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you.